everyone, and welcome back to Art a la Carte. And this episode of Drawing People 101, we're going to be drawing hands. Hands can be really tricky, and the biggest thing I can tell you is to just draw what you see. Take some time just to look at your hands, move your hands, see how they bend, how they work. Try to see what's going on underneath the skin. See how the bones work. See how the fingers stretch and how they curl. Just take some time to really look at what your hands are doing. That's the biggest thing, because I can teach you how to draw a hand and all that stuff, but hands are so different, and every different angle and position of hands. You couldn't just take a single tutorial and use that to draw every single hand you ever want. It's going to take drawing from life, looking at your own hands, and most of us should have hands to look at while we're drawing. Well, now that we've taken a little look at our hands, now let's move over to our art table and start drawing some. So here I have a picture of a hand, and I want us to notice the shapes that go into making the hand. First of all, the palm of the hand we're going to represent with a square shape. Obviously part of the hand is not included in that square, but roughly it's the square shape. Then we're also going to connect in the wrist, and the wrist is really important. A lot of people, when they draw hands, don't think about the wrist being connected with the fingers. When you draw your wrist, you're also going to make it come in just a little bit from your palm of your hand out to the rest of your arm. It's going to be thinner a little bit. And the reason the wrist is so important is because the fingers are actually connected to the wrist. If you look at a picture of a hand skeleton, you'll see that the finger bones go all the way down to the wrist, and they come up all the way up into the fingers. Now, when you have that connection there, you can begin drawing these lines straight out from the wrist, and you're going to get your proper separation of your fingers. Also notice that the line at the top of the palm, where the fingers connect to the palm, is slightly curved. Now, to know the measurements of how long to draw your fingers, if you measure your hand, and again, some people have longer fingers, some people have shorter fingers, but a rule of thumb is your fingers are the same length from the base of your fingers to your tip as from the top of your palm to the base of your wrist. It's about the same distance. So if you can kind of measure that out, it'll help you to keep your proportions correct. Also notice that the fingers are different lengths as well. Your middle finger is usually your tallest, followed very closely by your pointer finger, and then your ring and pinky finger generally taper off a little bit. And again, this changes from person to person. When drawing a hand, you want to keep your fingers a little bit slender and thin. Male hands tend to be a little bit thicker, and female hands tend to be a little bit thinner, but that again is just a rule of thumb. Everyone's hands are different. Some people have very thin hands, some have very thick hands. Also look at the little tiny details, like the knuckles, and how they have little creases there. By adding those creases at the joints of your fingers and at your palm of your hand, it's going to add a little bit more realism to your drawing. Now here's a fun thing. If you take that hand and you begin to exaggerate the knuckles and you really begin to thin out the fingers so that it stretches over the skin, you're going to ultimately age your hands. So if you're trying to draw someone who has older hands, try this technique. Just make everything that's bony and knuckly pronounce out and take all the kind of fat away. On the flip side, if you're trying to draw a child's hand, you're going to plump that out. You're not going to see their knuckles as much. They have just all that little baby fat. So now that we've taken a really close look at how the hands are put together, now it comes time for us to put that into practice and practice. Hands are tricky. They're tough. They're not easy to draw. They can be really frustrating. And I'll tell you this, that this is something that I practice regularly. Even though I'm very comfortable drawing hands, I will sit down with pieces of paper, and just like I'm showing here on the screen, we'll just draw hands over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm not just talking about one or two hands. I'm talking about hundreds of hands, drawing them over and over in different positions. Don't get stuck on drawing a hand in the same exact position over and over again, because then you're going to get really good at drawing a hand like that, but you're not going to be able to do anything with it. So practice this out. Don't get frustrated if your hands don't look great. Look at photographs, look at your own hands, and just draw them. Notice how things bend and curve. Push yourself to draw hands in weird positions. Even if it doesn't turn out, just keep practicing it, and you'll slowly begin to put it together. Now, people ask me, how can I improve on my hands? Well, here's a simple cartoony hand, or hand that a lot of beginner artists that's what it looks like. Things to check out is the wrist coming in at a slight indentation, and are your fingers coming out from the wrist? It's going to help you get that shape of your hand. For this video, I just want you guys to focus on just drawing hands a ton so you get comfortable drawing hands in different angles and positions. Later on in the series, I'm going to have an advanced hand drawing video where we're going to talk about hands holding different things and a little bit more extreme poses. But for now, just get really comfortable just drawing normal hands. If you're not yet a subscriber to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. And until next time, God bless you guys, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye!